Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Subrata Sarkar. I'm a mechanical engineer working in manufacturing industry since last 22 years. Today I'll discuss subject 7 waste. This is typically subjects for the engineers or those who are into this manufacturing industry. There's a Toyota production system or TPS. In TPS system, the second most important thing is 7 waste, which I'll be discussing today. In Toyota production system, there are a lot of other things like 5S, Jeep, etc. But today I'm going to concentrate on this 7 waste only. Now, actually, we need to understand for what our customer is paying. The things for which the customer is not paying us, we should not do that process. We should not keep that into our part of the process. So we need to understand from customer point of view what is value-added work and what is non-value-added work. There is no general standard that this is a value-added work and this is a non-value-added work. It all depends on what customer is paying for. And from environmental conditions of waste, there are 3 categories. One is unevenness, or which in Japanese language we call it is a mura. And one is the overburden. In Japan language we call this muri, because in all this system came from the Japan itself only. And the things which I'm going to discuss today, the waste, and in Japanese language it is called muda. So this waste today I'll be discussing. There are 7 types of the waste actually. Number 1 is the overproductions. Number 2 is the inventory. Number 3 is the time or the wearing time. Number 4 is the transportation. This is the transportation, actually internal transportation inside the manufacturing setup. Number 5 is the processing. Number 6 is the motion. And number 7 is the defects. Now, overproduction. What is overproduction actually? Suppose you need some X quantities to be produced in a particular time and you are producing X plus Y quantity. So this is basically overproduction, which is not connected with the customer requirement, but which should be with the customer requirement. If customer is not looking for, so why you are producing that? Because that is a big losses for the organization actually. So there are results, this overproduction of the excess inventory will be there. There will be excess transportation. Your excess, money will be blocked. So a lot of, your capability will be, hidden actually. What is your real capability? Then it will be difficult to find out actually. So cause is basically, this is working ahead of the customer requirement. So this is basically waste for a manufacturing organization. Some people have ideas. We have some less. The work precious, so let's produce a lot more and keep it as inventory. So this is a totally wrong concept actually. These are losses actually as per the Toyota production system directives. This is not the right decision to make. Overproduction actually. Now number two is the excess inventory. Suppose you need to store, say you're in production plant, you have 100 car, and in 100 car you need 400 tire. So, but if your inventory quantity of the tire is 600, then it's not right actually, because that 200 for additional 200 you have to pay extra transportation cost, extra money will be blocked there. You're storing your internal transportation, so everything will be losses. Because if you do the storing for the 200 tire, it's not that you are selling extra 200 cars. Then what is the use of storing extra material? Actually, there is no use of it actually. Now, so the result is and one more very important point from quality point of view for the excess inventory. Suppose you need 10 items and you stored 15 items, and there is out of 1 item is defective. But that crisis will not come because you need 10 items, 1 item is defective. So out of the 5 extra storing item, you will pick up 1, and you do your this requirement, fulfill your requirement. So by this excess inventory, always there is a possibility that your quality will be deteriorate. That is one of the, other than your inventory and cost etc. And there is a lack of just-in-time concept is a opposite reverse of this excess inventory. You can see here in this picture like the things materials are piled up in such a way, so there are subsequent there are a lot of problems will come when excess inventory will be there in any manufacturing setup or industry. Number 3 is the motion, unnecessary movement in process, whether it is a movement of the worker or movement of the material. Suppose one material needs to go from here to here and material is moving going like these directions. It may be the wrong process layout of the factory. It may be some obstacles is there stored in the factory floor, so people are not able to go in a straight way. So there could be many reasons, but so this is the concept actually. This is a motion. Motion is unnecessary. Motion is also a wastage actually. So it's a poor part placement. Suppose you are putting your components in the wrong places, so people need to go in the wrong places, then pick up and put it in the right places. So these are the causes actually. The workstation your layout is wrong, so that can also contribute for this motion actually. And sometimes you are not able to access because a lot of other structures are there, a lot of material is kept like that way. So this is actually lost for the organization. And there is a transportation loss actually, losses of suppose unnecessary movements of the material. Suppose you need to, so this is 5S is contributing as one of the important actually. 5S can support actually or help for reducing this type of waste. Suppose you are need to put some material here, and instead you are putting here and there. So collecting this material to give into the right workstation for doing the work, this excess transportation will be there. So this is also wastage for the organization actually. So placing the right material at the right place is very important, and layout is very important actually. And 5 is the waiting time. Suppose some worker is waiting because the material from the this upstream line is not coming actually. So this may be the reason. This may be overproduction. You are doing overproduction in some workstation, and people are not getting material in the next workstation. So people are waiting. Not only people, the machines are waiting. Sometimes you have a lot so costly machine in the workshop. Say cost of the machine for 1 hour manufacturing, say 10,000, 20,000 rupees per hour. So if the machine is waiting for half an hour for any reason, it may be the poor maintenance, your crane is breakdown, so machine is waiting, worker is waiting. So waiting for any reason is a loss for the organization. So we need to do a lot of stake of actually into our production so that the wastage will be very less. And number 6 is the over processing. Sometimes over processing, one of the reasons for my view, many times there's a quality person is not very clear about what is required. Sometimes it happens to the surface finishing or finishing. Suppose there is a welding joints are there. Now if people are very much concerned about the aesthetic of the welding or some grinding finishes or some which cannot be quantified actually, sometimes it is by the view of the quality department people, so they work extra on the areas for which neither customer is paying and nobody is getting actually. This is a wastage for the organization. So this over processing needs to be identified actually, and things to be defined properly actually, what is needed, what is not needed, and for that the quality assurance department is a major role for over processing wastage to eliminate these. Sometimes it mostly happens with like doing before preparation for painting. So people are doing a lot of buffing, finishing, grinding, which are not needed by the customer. So this is a over processing example actually. This needs to be under this your radar actually, like those who are into this shop floor production or the responsible for manufacturing. And 7 and the last is the defects. Suppose so in defects, suppose you were accepting some components or the child parts of the raw material which itself is a defective, and you taken into those in the production and further creating more defect. That can be one of the reasons for creating defects. Sometimes your machines or equipment are not up to date, or and sometimes your operator skill and their skills are not up to the mark. Your production aids, jigs, friction not up to the mark, and you are generating defects, which is basically and also West is for the organization. So we find this presentation is informative and interesting and useful. You can share with your friends, especially those who are into this manufacturing industry. Thank you very much for your attention.